Yes, hello, and welcome to the December 2017 webinar, IrisBG with Havard from IrisBG and Greg Payton from the Dawes Arboretum, who's helping out as normal. Yeah, so thanks for coming. Normally, or we often try to come up with a sort of a topical program. Today we don't have any sort of specific topics. We have a few things we have picked up that was discussed with other people this last month, but nothing sort of deep down. So if you have any specific topics you would like to sort of dig into, please either open your microphone and speak out, or use the chat function to send us a question, and then we'll see if we can cover that in detail. So let's see if we get any questions. If not, what I'll do is we start with just a topic or a discussion that came up, or it's something that comes up regularly, and that is the term collection and how that is used on our website. First of all, when you look at considering buying the product, but also when you record information, you know, people have, maybe they have a wisteria collection, or they have a you know, for example, we know that Greg and the Dawes Arboretum, they're part of the National Collection of Magnolias, as one thing I know.
Well, you would be wrong. It's not magnolias. It's maples, and so that's a multi-institutional group collection. We're also witch hazels, Aesculus, the Buckeye's horse chestnuts, and Dawn redwood. We have a huge wild origin collection of Dawn redwood, the largest population of wild origin Dawn redwoods outside of China.
Yeah, there you go. So exactly, and in Iris, when you use Iris, you will see here under, when you use the program, you will see under management, there's a term here called collections, which is confusing because it's not what we're talking about. So the correct phrase here should be collection site. So it's more in the terminology here used in Iris. I think we need to look at changing that maybe, but it means basically a physical garden or other place where a whole plant collection of whatever you have, or herbarium, or etc. So just that's really one thing, the distinction. That same goes for if you look at the price and people ask about the Iris, and then we say here under the price list, etc. You see that number of gardens, that is sort of collection sites really. So that's just to clear up on the that kind of terminology here, and we probably will look into changing that certainly. So the next thing related to that is you know, how do you keep track of your collections? Do you need to sort of record information to make? So maybe Greg, you probably produce lists of you, for example, your Aesculus collection or whatever, and then the question is how to get that. Do you need to then you could obviously tag each plant by using a custom field. There's no field specifically for it belongs to a certain collection, but that might not be necessary because you can also use the genus to search for all those. So what's your approach to that, Greg, in that respect?
Yeah, you know, we just search by genus in the case of Aesculus, you know, Dawn redwood, the Hamamelis, and Acer for the different collections we use.
Yeah. So if I can smell Hamamelis, that's I don't have any in this one. This is a very small trial database. So
you know, that would be there are some of these national collections in this country which are managed by the American Public Gardens Association, as opposed to Europe. They have a different system. You know, the national heritage, but there are several collections that aren't necessarily genus based. They could be like cloud forests of Madagascar, or something like that. I mean, some odd collections of disparate plants.
Yeah.
Or or collections of a certain hybridizer of different different cultivars of even different different genera. So.
Yep. And that's when you need to then either tag the taxa. So you say all the plants we get of this taxa belongs to the collection we're thinking of, or you need to, maybe it's very selective collection, so you only want to collect or include prime specimens of a certain thing or whatever. So you need to then tag it on the individual accession instead. I suppose both scenarios are possible.
Say you had it was a cultivar. It was cultivars from a particular hybridizer. You might have one of garden origin, or one of unknown origin, and one from that hybridizer directly that you might want to include in your collection, as opposed to just any random plant with that name. It's just up to your your criteria as to what you choose to have in that collection.
Exactly. So what I can do is in this trial database to just exemplify it properly is to add an attribute for this for the accessions in this particular database. So you would then go down here under custom attributes, and I have a few things here already, but we want to then. So when you add custom fields, you have to decide whether it should be related to the accession or the taxon. The latter one is handy when if it's specific to any plants you get of that certain species, then you put it on the taxon. So if I go here and say collection, that, and then and this is since we're here, I can mention these options. When you record custom fields, you decide on how people are going to type in the information. So this is a bit techy, but integer means numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and then decimal is quite self-explanatory. The same as date. Bool means distinction yes and no. Color gives you a drop down of colors. And list is the most useful one of them all. That's one of those self-populated lists. So you get a list of choices of what is previously been recorded in the field, and then you can type in new entries as you go along. So I think that would be the most appropriate for this one. But if you have a large institution and you want to keep people in check, or you want to make sure people only type in specific values, then you use either these two, which is then you create a list of given values that people have to choose from. I'm not going to go into that. Look at the video tutorial of how to do that if you're interested. But that sometimes is very smart to do. Having said that, the list function is also something that you can tidy up retrospectively. So it's a very good option for many scenarios to use this one. And here you can also control that people then type into, if you put 50, people will not be allowed to type longer than 50, for example. But we won't do that. And then we save, and then I know I'm talking a bit much maybe on this. This wasn't the main topic, but these are the field names you get on the reports and also for data import. So, and then we can go back to the accession, and then you can see now I can say collection, and then we say it's part of.
You're on flowering.
What did you say?
It's showing flowering. You selected the wrong one from your dropdown.
Oh, sorry. Collection. Yeah.
And if you drop it down now, you'll see there's no items in there because it's a brand new field and nothing's been typed in yet.
Here we go. So if I go to the next one now, I can then. This one is a cool one. It adds all the attributes, and then I can see now I get the option to add the great collection.
Yeah, I always hit that one by accident, and I have about 14 different attributes in there, so I have to go through and clear all those out when I hit that button by accident.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. Okay, so that was the collection. What is a collection, or in the terms used in IRIS, and the distinction between that and also the story then of how you organize your data. The whole point of recording this is obviously to be able to find your data. There was another discussion related to that where someone had a pinus collection, I suppose, or what was it? I wasn't. Anyway, sometimes also this information is found in the taxonomy, so you can then search by family. That gives you the exact same information. So you don't really need to record that something is coniferous, for example, because it is given out of the taxonomic structure. So those kind of things. Yeah.
And something else I do is under the taxonomy, there is a plant habit type feature where I specify like a conifer tree, conifer shrub, conifer ground cover. Yeah, that life form right there, right in the center.
Oh yeah, life form. Yeah, this one.
Yeah. I specify, and I specify if it's a deciduous tree shrub, an evergreen tree shrub, a conifer tree shrub, and then if I'm doing a report for conifers, instead of having to search for, instead of genera or even family, because there are several families in conifers, I can just pick a multi-select from that and pick all the things that say conifer.
Yep. In this case, if I want to do everything evergreen, I would then go advanced search, and then under detail, go to
life
form here, and then say in list, and then select all the ones that are evergreen, for example. Yeah. So trade-offs and here we go. 155. Okay, so that was that one question or this topic that. But
I specify conifer as opposed to evergreen because evergreen hollies, rhododendrons are evergreen, but they're not conifers. So I specify even more distinctly.
Yep. Okay, and the other thing the one thing that sort of also that was a topic last webinar was the web search, but we have we just had a discussion here under the forum. So those of you who haven't seen the forum, you find the forum, just to show you that sort of on the website, support user forum. That's how you sort of get to that. And one topic that has been sort of coming up regularly is the web search feature. So for those of you who didn't watch that webinar, I can just quickly explain what we're talking about here. Going back to Iris. So as you know, when you use Iris, you have the, if I bring up a taxa here, you have the web search, which is very handy, where you can then quickly look at details about a given plant using some of your favorite websites. Not all of those.
So that.
Sorry, what did you say, Greg?
You added mine to the top there, so it must be favorite.
Oh yeah, that's there we go. So that was a test. Yeah, let's see if Greg has this in his collection. Yeah, we seem to do only a variety. So let's. Here we go. That was it works. Going back to my sorry. So this list, obviously, if you're on the southern hemisphere, for example, or wherever you are, some of these entries that is delivered with the system might not be interesting to you for different reasons. And there are some websites that might be extremely useful for your particular collection for different reasons. So obviously, you might want to tweak this list, which you can by digging down under definitions here and then web links. So here you got. So what we recommend is if you see, I think actually this BBC plant finder doesn't work anymore, for example. So you could probably delete that altogether. That's probably just as well. So you just do that. However, maybe you think that this e-floras, we don't use it now, but you can also just uncheck it so that because this part of the entry is a bit cryptic for a lot of people, which we don't blame you for thinking. I mean, it's and that's probably what I was just going to show you. So if you want inspiration or look at other options to put in the web links, I recommend you to go to our forum and search for web links, which I have done recently, as you can see, and then you should find the list here. It's a bit slow. So there's a topic called additional web links for web search, and where people have there's a lot of extra. Here's so these are the other things you can add. It explains how the format should be in Iris. Yeah, Greg, you want to say something?
I was just going to say, on a tip for that, if you have a new website that allows searching by genus, species, whatever combination that is allowed out of Iris, just go on the website and do a search manually using their own search boxes and look at the web address that appears. And if it shows genus/species, then you can see how the way that the search has to be formatted in Iris to put that string in to search automatically for that string.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Exactly. So I can show you how that works. So this is a bit now we're going into geek mode, but that's fine. Hopefully, see how many logs off here.
I've not tried the new site thing yet, so.
Oh yeah, then we get a new URL probably. How should we do that then? See if that.
Update on
okay. So search here. Okay. So habeas Arizona. Onisonica, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then click search. And now you see, we got a few things here, that's fine. But you also see up here is the critical sort of telltale of whether you can actually include this in the web search or not. Because you see here that the URL is with the parameter and stuff. So this is a bit tricky, but so if I wanted to add this into my web search, now Greg has given us the recipe already on the forum here, but I'm going to repeat it here so I can do. What was it? Going back to Iris. So I'm just going to add it here and put in the URL, and then I can do probably like this. Species. So if you are uncertain, just send us an email. We can help you. But I mean, for those who are a bit,
I just test it by trying it and see if it works or not.
Yeah. So what was this called again? I forgot already.
It was Beans, Trees, and Shrubs online.
Okay, Beans, Trees, and Shrubs online. Okay. Beans, Trees, and Shrubs. So
it's basically the good old Trees and Shrubs Hardy in the British Isles by W.J. Bean online form instead of old book.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I was sure it was beans, beans, trees, and shrubs. But anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. We go back to. So now we can see here ABS, and then here we go beans, trees, and shrubs, and see if it works. And it seemed to work. I got eucalyptus and not ABS because I had a plus, so I confused it a bit.
You had two pluses in there when you set it up. You added a plus to the species, and you had a plus between the two. So there you go.
And then it comes to it.
Most you're going to be under Lasiocarpa because I believe Arizonica is considered a subspecies, but it's technical.
Oh yeah, here I made a mistake. So this is how it should be. This plus will be added if you have a species name filled out. So that's why it's in the bracket.
Now, is there any difference if you just put the plus between or you put the plus in front of species? Is there any difference between where that plus is located? That's a question that
This will add the plus if the species is filled out. So if you only have genus filled out, then whereas if you put the plus here and there's no species, I think the website might be a bit grumpy because you you don't have a species. So this is the way to do it. That will optionally, safer might be to just put in taxon name really, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, the taxon name that wouldn't have a plus between it, so it would.
No, that might not work actually. Yeah, depends a bit on the website. Yeah, that's true. Very true. I'll go back and then we'll try again, and then beans and trees and shrubs.
Beans and trees and shrubs.
Great, that worked.
Yep.
But it didn't sort of. Arizonica wasn't there. That's why it didn't come up. Yeah. Okay.
We'll go to Walasiocarpa.
I can do Abies alba just to.
Yeah, you can do that. That
then it will. Yeah. Then we get a. Oh yeah, you still have to click. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, it doesn't go into the subheading, but then.
Yeah. So if you then want to have a link to this particular page, you will then have to copy this page and put that into references here.
I suppose if you look at that string again, you could set up your link to include that PHP string, but Abies _alba.
You could.
Yeah. And if it exists, it will come up.
Maybe, yeah, we could. Okay, well, let's. I know that now that we're wasting people's time, but we could do it just to show how much fun you can have with this.
Options.
So we call it Beans Direct, and then underscore PHP, was it? I forgot already. Hold on. No, it wasn't query. I think it was just, hold on. I'm just going to go back to the web page. It's just articles. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay. This is not very interesting for a lot of you, I think. Sorry about this. We just had to do it. So now you know what's. So Beans Direct will give you the.
Bingo.
Wow. And then we can add this directly like this, because then we got the. But maybe you would change the name to something else than Beans Direct, but
that's going to show up on the website if you publish. So.
Yeah. Okay. So that was fun. That was more exciting than expected. Okay. So that was a web search repetition for some of you. And I'm just seeing if there are any questions, and there's no questions. So the third thing I've made a note of, that was more like an observation that I saw, that was actually inspired by Greg again, like so many other things. That, when you record plant material, I know that, especially when you're dealing with, I suppose, especially if you have arboretums or getting trees and stuff, an indicator of the size of or the age of a plant is, of course, the pot size, and life stage. That is for a lot of people is empty. So this is not like purpose and IPNI number, or not purpose and a few others. They are self-populated, but life stage you need to sort of actually prepare the list before you can use it. So what Greg and the Dawes Arboretum has done, they've actually just put in pot sizes here on the life stage. So that's a pragmatic way to do it. Just as a sort of a small comment. Do you want to say something, Greg?
I was just going to say it's less common that we actually get in potted plants, except for maybe purchasing things for plant sales and such. Most of our plants come as scions or seeds or things like that, and in that case, life stage wouldn't be filled out because scion basically says what it is. I'm not saying how low a scion it is.
Yeah. Yeah. You would have a scion here chosen. This list is very small in compared to the standard one in this trial database. Okay. Any questions from the audience? It's very quiet. So people are sort of Okay, Greg.
Let's just hope they're not sleeping on us.
One thing we can come up with more things. One thing that sort of pops up once in a while is, when you record a plant and you don't have the faintest idea what it is, you typically should accession it nonetheless. So what you do then is most databases have the unknown, which you don't have in this trial database. So that I can add just to show you that. Then I would go in here. Now I accidentally selected this particular taxon, and then I would just clear it, and then select. Hopefully, I have a genus called unknown. I don't have that either. Well, that's very good. Then we get a good example. But I don't have an unknown genus. So I will then go one step further. So this we have unknown family, but not unknown. I can check here unknown. Search for it. If I can spell it. Oh, I don't have it. So I just say unknown genus, and this is critical. So then I give it the status unknown. That will give me a bit more freedom, because if I say it's accepted, I will then have to give it a parent group or family. But then if I say unknown, I don't have to do anything more than just do this. But I could obviously add it to my unknown. I thought I saw that unknown family. Oh, it's a question mark in front of it. Ah, clever. Okay, well, I'll do that. So now we have the genus, and then I can save that. So that becomes like an accepted name, which is sort of correct in a way. And then I go back here, and then I can carry on recording my plant. So that's fine. So garden provenance, and then I can put it in the garden somewhere, planting, and then we at some later point. One thing I didn't do, which I shall do now. I'm just going to say of or hey, let's do today. Once plant. Okay. The one thing we didn't do, I'm going back to my taxon here, is to tag it as provisional. That's important. Why is that? Well, if you have Garden Explorer, anything that's tagged with provisional will not come out on the website. And it would be embarrassing if you have lots of those and people, you're just showing that you haven't managed to figure out what the plants are. But yeah, Greg, you have a comment?
Just to add, I just make random noises just to get your attention. But often on the collection trips, we'll have collectors out in the field, and they will collect a voucher of some unknown plant. They'll say it's a composite of some type, and I will accession it as unknown until our botanist has a chance to at least give it a genus or something, or actually identify it properly. But that acts as a placeholder for us. So even in a larger arboretum sense, you can use unknown just as a placeholder.
Yep. Absolutely. And that's what we do recommend also if you're using the handheld out in the field. And instead, because you can't add new taxa using the handheld. And it's also easier to just select unknown and maybe type a comment about what you think it is or something. Yep. And then the reason I thought about this, so now I've selected provisional, and then someone else can figure out what it is. Hold on, I'm just gonna. Oh, did I make a mistake? I forgot to provisional. Clicked a bit quickly here, so there we go. Now we can figure out what this is at a later point. But sometimes, if you say you know it's a cactus, but you have no idea what kind of cactus. So you think maybe it's nicer to specify a bit more because you have quite a lot of, maybe you know that we're getting someone in to determine all our cacti, but he's not coming until, or she, until next summer or something. So you want to be able to find these cacti based on family, but etc. That's kind of, I'm making a very elaborate story here, but so what you can do, of course, you can create more unknowns or more sort of vaguer taxons because that question comes up: can I record a plant with knowing the family but with not knowing anything else? Well, you can by doing the following thing. So I'm going to clear the screen here again. Let's say we got a cacti coming in, or we just want to accession that. And then the key here is in the taxon is to create a new genus, which I then would just call something like index. Like that. Oops. Like that, and then I can tell what the family is, so I can search and find these plants, and then I will still rank it as unknown. So now I have created that genus, and then I do the same again. So I'm just going to give it provisional. So that's my sort of taxon that I can use to record all my cacti without knowing exactly what it is. So tip number 62. Sorry. There you go. Yep.
Very good.
Yep. Okay. There seemed to be a very quiet audience today. We have quite a few people, but nobody has any questions, which is a good sign, really, in that we can switch over to suggestions for Christmas presents or something. But what is this? Higher as
a question here. This might be obvious, but what is the easiest way to set up a report to get a, I'm going to say taxon list of a specific location based on accession data, but I don't want to see each individual accession item. I only want to see the taxon list.
Yeah, I think so. The thing is, when it comes to reports, as you pointed out, there are some. When you run this report, you can't filter on accessions. So the key here is to create a task as a sort of intermediary list. That's the workaround. We can do that here just to show you how that's done. I'm sure some of you already do that, but I'll show you. So this is actually a very good question, because that's a classic kind of question about, oh, I want to run a report, but I can't actually see any option to filter on the things I would like to filter on. And this is a very good point. So you would then go in here, go into task, and then say plants in rock garden, for example. And then we say that's a list of, it could be either accessions or plants. I don't know, we'll do plants. It's more feasible, and then you would go into here in the code list. Now, with those of you who haven't seen how to create a task, I go back one step. So you basically tasks are a list making function. Think about it that way. So you can create a list of taxa, or a list of accessions, or a list of plants, or locations, or assets, and that can be used for all kinds of things. And in this case, we're going to use it to filter out a subset of all the plants in the collection. And when you go in here, and you can then start typing in an accession number, or you could go in here to select the plants, and then you get the accession screen, which gives you all the search capabilities that you're familiar with. So you can really find exactly the stuff you're looking for. And we're going to do advanced search here. And we're going to find all the on location. But we want to make sure we, first of all, only get plants. We don't want herbarium vouchers and things. And we also want to make sure we only get the ones that are alive, so we don't get dead ones, so that we get a nice, beautiful list. And then location code. I know rock garden starts with rock, so I can do that. So I get the whole rock garden in this case. So you have a similar structure, so you can use a similar approach.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's probably it, I think. What do you think, Greg? This should be it, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should be. You can at least see the result and see if there's things that you didn't want.
Yeah, here we go. So we got 295 plants in this collection in the rock garden.
And if you only wanted wild origin plants, you could specify that.
Yeah, exactly. Search again, but in this case, we want all of them. So I can just click Control A to select the whole list.
Mm-hmm.
And zoom back. Here we go. And save that. So here, because this is, maybe I should say December, because this is a snapshot, I'm going to do international, but nobody gets confused. I know these dates here are very annoying for some of you. So going back then to the report section, and then I can I can discuss myself whether I want to have synonyms or not, but the most important part here is to go down here under events, and then see here, now we got plants in the rock garden, and then we can run that report. Yeah, so that pops up somewhere else on another screen in my case, but give me a second, and then here we go. And we can also, since with this report we changed a few weeks ago with the tagging of Latin names. So this is a bit of an idea, just to mention this IrisBG plugin, well, since it's here, to italicize the names properly. So you will see then that they look extra elegant with subspecies, etc.
That's nice.
Yeah. So that was the story about how to circumvent or solve the problem of not being able to search for certain things. Yeah. On that note, just to mention, yeah, Greg, you want to say something?
Oh, Sean just asked, when creating label templates for labels that are longer than they're wide, I found it necessary to use Word. Later versions, or Word 2003, later versions convert the template to landscape orientations if the dimensions are locked, or swaps dimension if orientation is locked. Anyone else have this problem or other solutions?
Ooh. Longer than they are wide. Oh, yeah. But one big philosophical question there is, the label printer, does that care whether it's landscape or not? I mean, landscape definition is wider than higher, isn't it? Even though the paper is, I mean, it's sort of by definition. So are you saying it's portrait label, you want to print it portrait, sort of?
Correct. If I print it in landscape, it's going to print sideways across many labels as opposed to
Well, Sean, something on all my label templates is I use the latest versions of Word, but I have my templates all set up to be inside of tables, and each cell is the size of each label. So therefore, the text that gets in there will wrap within that cell.
Yeah, but if that's in your case, Greg, you have these engravers that cuts out big sheets, don't you?
Well, I have a CO2 laser engraver that prints onto 2x4 inch squares that I put in the machine pre-cut and beveled. But also we have a thermal transfer printer for like nursery tags that prints on the rolls, and those are set up in cells as well, so they fit within. And then I have each category I can group them into their own. I don't know if you have my the templates that I put on the website up. But, each category can be within its own cell, so it can be just set up properly for the display that you're working on. And then also we have a metal embosser that is, well, that just sends a text file, so you just basically set up the length and width of each line and to put it in, so that doesn't count in that case. But
this is a thermal transfer printer printing pot labels on the roll like you have.
Yeah, it's one of the TEC printers is what we have. I don't know if I sent that or not. Let me see.
I'm just trying to find it. I can't remember.
Because I know I sent that and I thought you posted it.
Yeah, it is somewhere here. Yep.
Turn off my lights. Oh, sorry.
No, I agree with you. They shouldn't.
Let me send that to you real quick, Havard, and then you can just open it up on the screen of the form that I use for the transfer printer. Let me see some templates.
Maybe I should just.
And I want.
Yeah, I'll search this off so you don't have to watch this boring stuff. But that was part of my training. Actually, that's interesting what you mentioned there. But Greg, could you tell me one thing I then not sure about is, so when you set up a label with a table and then each cell is a specific label and you have a printer, how does that sort that out? Does it manage to understand that one cell in this it sort of signifies one?
Yeah, it just fits in the layout of the label on the screen. And once I send you this here, I'm about ready to send it. Would have sent it earlier if I'd have known. But,
one thing I have is the Graviograph template. Is that the one you sent a while back?
No. This is going to be called something like Pot Tag New, because it's a newer version. Okay, I just sent it.
Yeah.
You'll see when you open it, some of the field names that occur are actually longer than what will be printed on the screen. So it looks like it wraps around, but it actually doesn't when you print it.
Okay, I'm checking it out.
Yeah, and you have to have your table borders turned on, because they're borders without any color to them, so they're invisible borders. But if you have it turned on to view them, you can have a little dashed line where the borders are. But yeah, just send that to Sean and have him play with that format. Of course, we use the 1" by 5" labels, but you could modify that to fit whatever size you have.
Sean, I just forwarded that straight to you, so you got it. But I'll bring up the template here so you can see in.
Just let the rest of the world see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So if you see, there's a box around the majority of it, and then at the bottom it's slightly off the screen, but usually all those aren't filled out. You'll have collection number and provenance, and you have received as 3 different sections spaced out.
Yep.
Across the bottom. Since those are short fields, they can all occupy the same line. Mm-hmm. And then once that opens in Word, if something is too long, I can shorten certain features before it actually goes to the printer.
Okay. Yeah. But this is again one label on per page.
Correct. Well, yeah, but it prints a string. So each label is a page, but when it goes to that printer, if there's like 10 of them, it just prints out 10 labels.
Yeah. I thought you had a big A4 where you had like them laid out together, but I misunderstood you.
Yeah,
okay.
The driver for that printer basically takes one page for each label.
Yeah, that's the way I assumed most did, or everybody did. Yeah. Okay, so then I misunderstood it. Okay.
See on the screen where it says the accession number right there, ACK item full, ACK no full. I also duplicate it down on the pointy side of the tag, so that that part would actually be stuck under the soil. So if for some reason the accession number got rubbed off or something above ground, you could pull it out and read the number a second time on the tag. Just back.
Yeah. Clever, yeah.
And Peggy, no, we have a printer. All of our printers are in-house. So we have a laser engraver where we make all of our display tags and all the nursery tags and everything, and the aluminum accession tags are all printed in-house.
Yeah. That's just a volume question, isn't it? Sort of, if you're going to go in-house or not.
Yeah, and if you have the outlay for that much expense for printers, but it can pay for itself after time. You just have to have the cash up front.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, labels is very fun.
Yeah, and if anybody ever wants any of my label templates, I'm more than happy to share. So just email me directly, gapayton@dawesarb.org. I'm easy enough to find.
Well, we could also just put it up on the forum, couldn't we? I mean, you have one here already.
You can add this form.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think. What is my?
But this particular label here is for very useful for a specific type of label printer.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's how we should add it on the forum, so people can find it by searching the printer type.
Yeah, the thermal transfer printer.
Yeah.
And then of course, if your labels are 3/4 of an inch or 2 inches in height and different widths, you can adjust the page size to match that, and then make the tables and everything match. I will also send you the one that I use for the engraver. Include a photo of what your various labels look like, or something like that. I could read the rest of it. Okay, well, I just sent you another form. Maybe you can show that one. This is the one that goes. Now, this is a funny story. If you've ever dealt with a label embosser, a metal tag embosser, you have to send them basically a text file. It uses a text printer, which you set up just as a Windows text printer. You just set the margins to a certain width, and you can actually print to it from Word. So instead of exporting to a text file and printing it, I've actually created a Word template, which once he gets this, he can show you, that puts it all into a big table and then does a mail merge, and then I can edit it in Word and send it right to that text printer without any fuss or fuss. So I can actually preview what the tags will look like on the screen before they're sent.
What was the brand name again of that embosser?
The embosser is a. Let me scoot over here, see if my cord's long enough. Hold on. It's a Matica C320, but it could be. There's all those different, data. I forget what it's called, but there's different brands, but they all basically use the same text file type printing. And your label size might be different. This template matches my tag size. So, but just adjustments that could be repurposed.
Yeah, I thought I would find a picture of it, but I never mind. So anyway, we're going to bring that up, and then okay, why is that? What's going on? Too many. Anyway, oh, that's how it.
So
yeah.
Now it looks like it creates the second page, which sometimes at the end it will, but once because there's too much information as all the possible things that could be on this tag. If there's a trade name, what the original accession number it was repropagated from, where that original plant was from, collection numbers, localities, provenance, how received. But it all fits and makes and ends up making one tag for each accession item when it's printed. Just looks funny on the screen.
Yeah. There's a question here, Greg. If you could take a picture of the labels so that we see the final result. So stick that into the article as well on the forum.
Okay. Well, afterwards, after this, I'll take some photos and send those along as well.
Yeah. And for those of you, this is the machines.
Yeah.
They're originally made to create tags for army personnel, aren't they? I think.
Dog tags, yeah. Well, I think they use them for various things.
Obviously.
They're used in various factories where they'll put have metal tags that are riveted onto engine blocks and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Great. So, if there's a solution for most things, it appears when we put Greg on in the in the group. That's great. Yeah. So some people, I just a workaround for this is to buy tags, metal tags that are pre-numbered. That's sort of a cheap alternative. And then what you then can do is obviously you could then go into the plant here and use something like this field here, for example, conserve number, to type in the actual number that the tag you used was given, so that you keep track of that way. That's one workaround for that.
I can't say that I'm impressed with that idea. I mean, incorporating one more number that you have to correlate with something else might add to confusion.
No, but if for sure, I agree with you. But if you have a smallish collection, I mean, if you're sort of and just getting one embosser would put you, would eat up your whole sort of budget for the year or something. But I more important, or if you want to, I agree with you. Ideally, you obviously want laser engraved anything else. But I suppose most gardens have a budget, so it's a question of being sometimes pragmatic. But yeah, ideally you should have a tag with this number plus the qualifier, obviously. So you should have. Just to finish that off, planted. Give you the qualifier as well. And like that. So with this number on it for the plant. This one. Yeah. Okay. We're sort of close to the end of the hour. We usually say we sort of stick for 50 minutes, so we're a bit over time, I suppose. Unless there are any other questions, we could sort of round off by wishing everybody a very happy, what's the political correct one? I'm not sure anymore. Happy Christmas or whatever other type of celebration you have.
I would say happy winter holiday season.
Okay, happy winter holiday season. That doesn't include our friends in the southern hemisphere, so that I wouldn't use. But yeah. Anyway, Okay, great. Anyway, we'll wish you the best anyway, and we'll see you in the new year on January the 5th.
You're welcome all. As I like to say at this time of year, see you next year.
Yep. You're obviously not the kind of person to invite people for drinks or anything.
I say I drink for myself.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I usually say I hope to see you before the end of the year, but if not, happy holidays. Okay, great. So thanks a lot, and thanks a lot, Greg, for helping out with this. It's great fun and very useful, and etc.
On the whatchamacallit, the website, I will send some photos as well of what the finished labels look like from those templates.
Yep. Yeah, great.
Okay.
Good deal. Thanks all for coming.